2TE116, a signature late Soviet locomotive. It's easily identifiable even by those who aren't much into railway history. It's big, it's mighty, it's formidable, and it's the featured loco of today's episode of Trains and Transport. In this episode, we'll hug a piston of the 2TE116 diesel engine to measure its circumference. We'll marvel at the aesthetics of a derelict diesel loco, and we'll try to make sense of the legendary loco's many nicknames and modifications. This is an episode in a series of videos dedicated to the most legendary Soviet locomotives. We had conceived this series as a way to commemorate the 180 years of the Russian railway history. In previous episodes, we've covered the CHS-2T and the CHS-200 electric locomotives, as well as the M62 diesel locomotive. Of course, there's many more signature Soviet locos worthy of a dedicated video. We promise to make more videos on Soviet trains in the future, especially since this stuff is traditionally in high demand among our audience. Work on the new 2TE116 diesel locomotive commenced in August 1970. Just a few months later, in March 1971, the first locomotive of the series, the 2TE116 serial number 1, delivered an extra train of coal to Moscow, the delivery being dedicated to the 14th Communist Party Congress then taking place. Check out an archival photo of this beauty. The loco seems to have taken surprisingly little time to get from the drawing board onto the tracks. But in actual fact, design work based on the prototype TE109 diesel locomotive had lasted 2 years before the development of the 2TE116 officially kicked off, with many of its design elements borrowed from the TE109. As the number 2 indicates, the 2TE116 is a 2-section locomotive with one driving cab in each section. Each section sports a diesel engine putting out an impressive 3060 horsepower. The locos of this series were built by the Lugansk diesel locomotive plant. The sections are connected via the standard Soviet automatic coupler SA3. All numbers in the 2TE116 fact file are quite honestly staggering, especially if you multiply each number by 2 to reflect the capabilities of both sections functioning as one locomotive. The loco is nominally loaded with 2 tons of sand, 2 tons of machine oil, 2.5 tons of water, and 14 tons of diesel fuel, with about 1.5 tons consumed per 100 kilometers or 60 miles of travel. That said, these numbers may vary depending on the adhesive weight of the loco and the railway track profile. The combined weight of 2 sections is a staggering 276 tons. Right, up we go. Anyone home? This is the driving cab of the 2TE116, complete with the control panel. This is the speed controller resembling the steering wheel of a car. Overall, the panel looks pretty old school, but it's a far cry from the elegant panel of the classic CHS-2T electric locomotive. Right, time to start the diesel. Oh right, it won't start. But anyway, we've started loco diesels in previous videos for your amusement, so no point repeating ourselves, I guess. An unusual feature here is the windshield. It's inclined at a negative angle, that is outwards, and there's a couple of reasons for that. On one hand, the negatively inclined windshield was a tribute to the industrial design trends of the time. Think of classic 1960s American cars, or the French Mistral electric locomotive, also from the 1960s. Apart from being trendy, this design had practical benefits too. There's no blinding glare from sunlight or passing train lights on the windshield, and instrument lighting from the control panel isn't reflected in the glass. On top of that, the driver has a commanding view of the automatic coupler, and less icing forms on the windshield in the winter. Check out this ventilation device. We did start diesel engines before, but we haven't taken you on a tour of a local diesel compartment yet. Let's go check it out. I'm putting on a technician's gloves I got cheap at a sale, cause you know, diesel locals tend to be pretty dirty and smeary inside. Watch your step here. A massive starter for a massive engine. It's so huge, 8 cylinders on this side and 8 more on the other. The sheer scale of this mammoth of an engine is mind-blowing. It resembles the engine of the DR1 diesel multiple unit train. That one is just as humongous. I guess it's a dream job for a hobbit, working inside a diesel loco's engine compartment. You've got to be really small in size to fit in. So if you plan to apply for a diesel locomotive driver position, keep in mind you've got to be short and thin. Attached to this section is section 2 that will soon be retired or sent for an overhaul, but most likely it'll get scrapped. I know just how my audience loves derelict trains, so especially for you, we're gonna venture inside this derelict section now, strictly observing the safety precautions, of course. Here we can see the SA3 type coupler linking together the loco's two sections. Wow, look at this! It's a real dream spot for any aficionado of derelict places. A steampunk fan would fall in love with this place for sure. It's easy to imagine all the deafening noise filling this compartment when the engine is rumbling. You couldn't work in here without a pair of noise-cancelling headphones on. So happy I'm wearing these gloves. A controller here as well. It's not a complete circle, signifying this section is from an early batch. If memory serves, it's got 15 positions in all. We've got a lot of turning to do to get to the top one. Check out the shape of the instrument sockets on the panel. In a minute, we'll visit another version of this loco called the 2TE116U. Its instrument panel sports an onboard computer and looks completely different. This one, by contrast, has got this old school and derelict feel to it. Just the way hardcore rail fans love it. I'd have given anything to get inside an old loco like this one as a kid, to be able to sit at the instrument panel like a real train driver. There's something so special about this retro-style Soviet aesthetic. Check out these solid metal nameplates for the loco lights, etc. Still original stuff. On a modern loco, they just stick pieces of paper with switch names on them. Check out these intricate rounded shapes of the instrument sockets they took so much care to make. All the indicators are analog. In modern locomotives, a driver's cab is much like a dull office workplace, with a chair and a PC. The 2TE116 got the nickname Boeing for its huge size and its signature engine noise at high revs, resembling that of a Boeing airliner at takeoff. Just listen. Sounds like a real 747. Like the 2TE10V diesel locomotive, the 2TE116 is also known as Fantomas, so nicknamed after the main villain in the classic 1960s French detective comedy films. Not quite sure why the logo got this name. You're welcome to share your theories in the comments. I could only assume it's because of the characteristic green color of both the villain's mask in the movies and the loco's painting job. The first part of the trilogy, starting the inimitable Louis de Funès, came out in 1964, but it was shown in the USSR only in the early 70s, about the same time the 2TE116 came into service. The movie became incredibly popular with Soviet audiences, having been watched by a record number of 45 million viewers. Interestingly, the Soviet audience sincerely believed the series was based on fact, so no wonder the name Fantomas was a common one in those times. Likewise, Soviet citizens only learned about Boeing airliners from cinema, despite negotiations between the Soviet government and Boeing to purchase some 747s to use on intercontinental flights. But it never happened. But thanks to illegal late Soviet video theaters of the 1980s, the Humpy jumbo jet came to be associated with all things huge, powerful and innovative in the Soviet Union, just like the 2TE116 diesel loco. An upgraded standardized driver's cab was introduced in 1973. It could also be installed with minimum adjustments on the modernized 2TE10L diesel loco, later designated the 2TE10V. This led to a fair amount of confusion among some railway fans who didn't dig deep enough. The two diesel locomotives, while looking very similar outside, were actually two very different machines, yet only an expert can tell the difference between them. Here's how to tell a 2TE116 from a 2TE10V if you can't make out the nameplate. There's just three notable exterior differences. First, the 2TE10 is shorter. Second, the roof of the 2TE10 is flat, while on the 2TE116 it's got a characteristic hump. Humpy is another nickname of the 2TE116, by the way. And the last and most important one, you can only go transporting the 2TE10V on the Northern Railway in Russia, or travel down to Kazakhstan or Uzbekistan, or head to distant Siberia, or try your luck in the Moscow region. No chance of spotting a 2TE10 in the vicinity of St. Petersburg though. The classic 2TE116 was in production for as long as 36 years, going down from hundreds of sections per year in the 1980s to just a handful in the 1990s. A total of 1,745 sections were built between 1971 and 2007. Today, many are still in operation in Russia, Belarus, Ukraine, Estonia, Latvia and Mongolia. Most of them are still in pretty good shape, so we should be able to see their billowing clouds of pitch black smoke for years to come. Throwing out a heavy black cloud of exhaust is something known among Russian-speaking rail fans as literally giving a bear. And check out this extreme way of cleansing the exhaust system, which may sometimes end in a fiasco. An upgraded version of the Loco, designated 2TE116U, went into production in 2007, with the U standing for the Russian word upgraded. The diesel was boosted to 3,600 horsepower. The Loco is equipped with rheostat brakes, a CPU control and diagnostics system, and air conditioning in the driver cabs. A great relief for the drivers, but you've got to remember to replace the filters and top up Freon from time to time. As I've already mentioned, the 2TE116U is a modern machine with computer displays and a small neat controller, yet as a reminder of its origins back in the 20th century, there's 3 analog manometers adorning the control panel and the traditional braking valves. With the Loco's engine now running, let's take a sneak peek inside the diesel car. It's rumbling loudly, but not half as loudly as the diesel on the M62 Loco, another Soviet classic. I thought it'd be deafening, but it's bearable. Let's talk some more about the 2TE116 versions. There are quite a lot of them actually, so we'll try to keep it short. First off, the exotic version. Russia is rich in natural gas, so attempts to design a gas-driven locomotive go way back. In 1988, the 2TE116G with G as in gas was built as an experiment, based on the standard 2TE116 serial number 0001. It was a monster locomotive consisting of 3 sections, 2 diesel ones, identical to the standard 2TE116 sections, and a cryogenic section with a gasifier and various gas equipment. It was built in what was difficult times for the nation, so the project failed to procure funding for further development. One section is rumored to have been preserved at the experimental railway facility at Sherbinka, just outside Moscow. Of special note is the 2TE121. It was a prototype that was conceived as the big step ahead. Planned as the standard perspective model of the diesel locomotive, it was a 2-section machine, 4,000 horsepower each section, and it was meant as the replacement for the 2TE116. But well, something went wrong. A total of 76 locos of this type were built between 1977 and 1992. By 1994, nearly all of them had been scrapped. Several factors had derailed the new model, including the technical task being changed way too often, poor servicing standards, low-quality spare parts, reluctance to service the new locos at the proper level, and ultimately, the collapse of the Soviet Union. The turbulent times that followed made an impact too. The Russian Railroad Museum in St. Petersburg preserves 2 sections of the 2T121, the once innovative diesel locomotive that never really took wing, a ghost of a country that no longer exists. Next up, meet the 2TE116A, designed in 1981 as a less powerful version of the 2TE121, with just 3,000 horsepower per section. Then there was the 3T116U, a 3-section version of the 2TE116, featuring a middle section with a simplified driving cab and 2 intersectional transitions. There was also the 2TE116UM, built for the Mongolian railways, the UD with General Electric diesels, and the UR equipped with MTU diesel engines. Okay, let's go check out a repair shop for diesel locomotives, where we were kindly allowed to film. Just like the M62 Loco, the 2TE116 features a removable roof to simplify repair work. Check out this huge cylinder of the 2TE116 diesel engine. It's as big as a tree trunk. Perhaps the most exotic variant was a diesel train based on the 2TE116 called the DT116. It consisted of 2 TE116 diesel sections and several passenger cars borrowed from the ER9P multiple electric unit trains sandwiched between them. Only 4 of these trains were built, and all of them ran on the Voronezh-Kostornoye line. All of them were later broken up, and the diesel units subsequently used with cargo trains. A a similar diesel train was based in Lugansk, designated the DPL-2. It was made up of 4 passenger cars and a modified section of the 2TE116. The last car on the other end was an electric multiple-unit train's head car, complete with a driver's cab, the others being multiple-unit trailing cars. This episode is one in a series on the classic Soviet locomotives dedicated to the 180th anniversary of the Russian railways. I can already see you writing in the comments, we want more of that retro stuff. Just be patient, my friends, it's all coming up. Please subscribe, like, comment and stay tuned for future videos. It's Trains and Transport. See you in the next episode of our program.